All right, I think we're live. Yeah, there we go. All right, everybody. Hi, welcome to the Strength Club Weekly Podcast. I'm here with Chase Lindley, and I know I said it was weekly. How weekly is it, Chase? It's not that
It's
weekly.
about it's about twice a month.
It's about
So
We're at
every
the
other
we're at
week.
the basically any time that you'll be getting paid is whenever we'll be doing our
Yep,
podcast.
exactly.
I'm getting over an upper respiratory tract infection. Chase, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Pretty much same old, same old. Nothing's really changed. Yeah, just living life in Oklahoma City.
How's training been going recently?
It's not too bad. Here, what I've been kind of doing, and I had Josh to kind of help me with this. We've kind of broken up my training throughout 2 weeks. So the first week is kind of doing a bunch of volume with the Olympic stuff. So like for Monday, for example, we're doing some EMOMs on the snatch. Um, Tuesdays, we're kind of doing some complexes with the cleans. Thursday and Friday, we're both going heavy on the snatch on Thursday for like a 3x2 for some power snatches, and then a 5x2 Friday for the cleans, just to clean. And then like my squat, did some volume stuff, press, same thing, bench, and then the week after that is where we'll hit the intensity. So we're doing maybe like some block snatches for some heavy doubles or even some singles. And then off the floor, off the later end of the week. So we're doing like maybe 3 singles on both the snatch and the clean. A bunch of singles on the squat. I did 5 singles. And then rack pulls and um, jerk overloads, a bunch of overhead stuff.
Are you just do you have a dedicated front squat slot at all
I do on Tuesdays.
on Tuesdays? How much of those are you doing?
hmm Um,
And is
so
that in the
some
volume week or the intensity week?
so on the intensity week, I'm doing 3 singles.
Three singles for front
Um,
squat. Okay.
I think what I hit the other week was like 205. They felt easy. They felt good. I think I'm still just my biggest thing is like coming up out of the bottom since I'm so used to hip drive. I
hmm
kick so far back.
You
And I
just
don't even know that
activate the hip drive.
exactly. Which is it's fine to a point, but you still need to have that roughly vertical back angle.
hmm
And then some volume stuff the week prior with a 3x3.
Okay. Interesting. That's it. Okay, so it seems like it's not much volume, but I'm sure with the length of warm ups, it seems like a tremendous amount of volume.
Well, not only that, like I'm still doing like on the clean complexes. I'm full cleaning them. Friday I'm full cleaning. I have 2 other days of just a normal low bar back squat. So it's like maybe 5 days or
Yeah,
5 slots rather of frequency for the squat. So yeah, I'm feeling it.
you're feeling it. Okay, all
hmm
right. Are you liking the separation from your volume to your intensity,
Yeah, man.
or at
Because
least
like
your higher workload
my
weeks?
biggest problem is like I feel like I have to push the weight. Like I'm so goal driven. I'm like, no, this is bullshit. If I'm not fucking doing roughly the Bulgarian method, then what the
Yeah, if
fuck
it's
is the
not a
point,
PR, it
right?
doesn't matter. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was just running into a wall, and I could probably get away with that like 5 years ago, but now,
Now that
due
you're
to just
old,
yeah, exactly. Now that I'm old and getting up there in age,
uh,
I have to be a little bit smarter with training, and I have to kind of dial back, the want and the drive for these big ambitious goals, and just kind of hit these micro goals along the way.
mhm. Okay. All right. Cool. The topics that we're talking about this week, Mick actually. So this kind of worked well. This has popped up with a few of my trainees. I have a few people who have just are coming back after a significant layoff, so like a 2 to 3 week layoff, or even longer than that. Um, and then Mick brought up some good questions about how to tackle starting strength if you are obese, or if you're working with someone who is obese, if you're one of the big boys. Um, I know Chase has a good amount of experience with A. I have a good amount of experience with A as well. I'd probably say it's not tremendously difficult, but I think there are a lot of things that people just don't consider, kind of just like when you're starting off the blocks with you're working with someone who is like really big, and that they're gonna have some problems with, and they'll figure that stuff out on their own if you give them enough time. But ideally, you want to help them get off to the best start possible. So we'll go over like, hey, what are some considerations on all the lifts to do with someone who is obese? Um, what you should be talking to them like in the beginning about a caloric deficit or cardio, or how to do things like chins or arm work, eventually how to incorporate those, and then kind of breaking down how to come back after a layoff. Like, how are you dealing with detraining? Like, some people feel really rusty on a movement if they haven't done it for 3 days. Other people, I think I'm come more in this camp with most of my lifts outside of the snatch, the clean. I can kind of pick it back up where I left off, even if it's 2 weeks apart. From a lift to lift, I don't feel any drop off in frequency. How are you with that, Chase? I don't even think you've taken a training layoff
I
in your life
hardly
ever.
take. Yeah, I hate
Yeah.
it. But and the reason why is this. Yeah, I just I'm still young, and again, kind of like what I was saying earlier, is just like I'm so goal driven that I have to keep going. But
Hmm.
I have done some deload weeks, and I definitely feel the benefit that they need. But that's not until like you're really advanced up there and your body's really taking a hit.
Yeah, you
But
need it.
yeah, exactly. And again, that goes back into like the stress recovery adaptation cycle. But like for a normal person who's thinking that, yeah, I'm running up my novice linear progression and I need a deload week. No, you
Hmm.
don't need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like a lot of times, whenever people will think that they'll need a deload week on their NLP, they'll really just need to take smaller jumps. They may still be
Yeah.
taking 10-pound jumps, and they'll be like, "Wow, I do not think I can sustain this." But the goal is just to find something sustainable. Race Jacobson is here. How's it going, Race? He says he has a BMI of 34 with about 36% body fat. That's from a whole lot. That's good, man. How long have you been training for? That's definitely one thing to consider. Because like
Hmm.
it's. There are a lot of people who are pretty chunky, kind of in that 30 past the 30 area, but they kind of know how to adjust for it already, and they haven't really actively thought about it. But most people, almost, or I don't want to say most, but virtually all people who are very obese are not interested in exercise at all. Um, so whenever they're coming into these things, it's entirely new. Is this the restarting strength episode? Yeah, man. If you need to restart starting strength, yeah. I still do LPs on lifts. If I haven't done a lift for like 2 months, I'll pop an LP out on it.
Oh yeah, you have
Yeah.
to. Like for a while there, like I didn't give a fuck about the bench, and I didn't have anything to do with it. And yeah, like even with my training history, I had to do a novice linear program on it. And I mean, it's not going to last as long as it originally
Hmm.
did, but I'm still going to get a bunch out of it versus doing
Yeah.
like like a 4x8 or some goofy shit that I don't
Hmm.
need yet.
Yeah, I've had to do one with the squat where I've just been without a squat rack, but I've still been able to deadlift. And it's like, yeah, it's going to be an LP. It's going to be 25-pound jumps for, like two
Yeah,
weeks, basically, something like
yeah.
that. Hmm. All right, well, I'll hop right into it. So, starting strength for obese trainees. You're going to start with the NLP. It's not anything programming wise that's going to be tremendously different. It's not going to be like, all right, well, you need to do 3 times the amount of volume because we're trying to burn extra calories. That's not really something to touch on. So we'll go lift for lift here. Um, is there any issues on the bench that you typically run into if you're working with someone who's a little bit of a thickums?
Mm, mainly just the person's size relative to the bench, like them getting into position.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, them getting into position. Like for instance, we have several guys who are just kind of in the 400 area or just below it, and they dwarf the bench here at the franchise. And the benches are probably like 8 inches, maybe a little bit more, 10 inches across. So I mean,
The
it's
wooden
granted,
ones?
yeah,
I
it's
think they're
not that.
10.
So they're really not that big of a bench. Like they kind of
Mhm.
feel small on my back, but yeah, if I have a massive, chest and stuff like that due to like how much weight I'm carrying on it, it's definitely going to be an issue there. But as far as anything else, like the grip is usually fine. It's just if in true like if someone's fat like that, they've kind of already had these problems happen years prior. So like them
Yeah.
sleeping, they have to modify that because they can suffocate themselves. So
Mhm.
them laying down for a short little bit, I'm sure they're going to be fine. Or
Mhm.
they'll just tell you like, "Hey man, like I can't breathe while I'm down there," and then you'll just have to modify, do an incline bench or something like that.
Yep. Yeah. Andy Baker brought up this really good point. He has a good article on this. Hopefully, I'll need to remember to put it in the description of the video. But it's training modifications for the severely or the super obese. And one of the big things is getting up and down to the bench. You'll see this with elderly people as well. It's
Hmm.
not it's not specific to this person's size, but basically most of these people are not actually laying perfectly prone. They're never or supine, excuse me. They're never just like getting on their back and then doing a sit up. Most people don't realize the amount of like little gymnastics that they do to kind of get up off the bench whenever you've been doing it for a long time. So these people will need a bench in a cage for the most part, almost always. They'll need a bench in a rack. That way they can use it to lower themselves or help themselves get up. Or you can just give them a hand and then lower them down. I've had to do that with older guys. And if I've ever, a few times that I've had to teach people kind of in their 70s, like how to get up and down off the bench, you'll have to help them for the most part. Um, Getting up and down, that's something on the bench. There is kind of like a relatively shorter range of motion if they have like a huge arm, but it's not really a concern. You can get through that with the
No.
weight. The only thing I would say on the bench is kind of the incline, like Chase was saying. The breathing thing is something that I didn't really consider, but that's certainly a problem. A lot of these people just basically just kind of like sleep. It's some sort of severe incline. You know.
Yeah, they have to. Like there was, I think one of our guys either in Houston or something. He was kind of big, but he wasn't as big as the ones in Oklahoma City. Like he had to sleep in a recliner like
Hmm.
for several years, and it's like fuck, man. Like how can you ever get like a good night's sleep in a recliner? But he managed to do it.
Hmm. Man, yeah, I can't really sleep in chairs.
I can't
I've been
either.
on an airplane for fucking 12 hours and I'm just still kind of just like, this is terrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't do the chair. So the deadlift, this one is one where you're going to see some issues. There's definitely going to be some issues. Ray said he's been training on and off for about a year or two. Yeah, so you probably haven't had time to figure all this out. Hopefully this will be helpful for you, Race. And Johnny G here's too. How's it going, Johnny? Um, so the deadlift. Um, to start, you don't have to worry about combined center of mass stuff as much as you do in the squat. The squats last. We'll talk about that. That gets pretty complicated. But the big thing about the deadlift, you can just kind of follow it in a series of events. The stomach is going to dictate or move their stance. Their stance is going to move where their arms are. Their arms are going to affect their back angle and their hip height.
Hmm.
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 Chase. So let's say you have someone they got a rather significant, let's just say very male fat storage pattern. It's literally all in their basically the front of their
Hmm.
abdomen. How do you typically handle like something like that on the deadlift?
First, we got to see if we can't at least modify the stance. So, like, severely toes out, have like a frog stance, something to where he can actually do the full range of motion, bar on the floor deadlift. And if that can't go, what I'll probably do then is go into a rack and just make him do a low rack pull
Hmm.
until we can hopefully successfully lose a little bit of weight, or he can just feel comfortable in that position. But I've had a few people too sumo, and I've tried everything in the book before sumo though. But the big thing to kind of consider with a severely obese person is that exercise selection is probably going to be the key here.
Hmm.
After like modifying the stance and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
and you'll see too, like as soon as someone leans over with a modified stance, like they're dropping their ass, they're doing everything they possibly can to
Hmm.
avoid leaning over and doing this thing correctly.
Yeah. Can you bench with a CPAP machine? You probably can. You can put the Bane mask on and bench. Yeah. I secretly want one. I think it may make me more powerful, even though I don't have sleep apnea related problems. Have
I'm
you?
waiting
Do
on
you
the
have?
day, man.
You're
No, I'm
waiting
waiting
for
on
it,
it.
Chase?
Yeah, I'm waiting
Are
on
you
it.
are
Like I
you
think I
waiting
need
for a doctor? Or are you just gonna buy one secondhand?
no, no, no. Like I'm waiting for like the day where I just like I can't sleep because like my neck is too
You're like,
girthy.
yes.
I know. I think I need another 20 pounds though.
Okay, another 20. Yeah. Oh, that's really funny. Um, yeah. So for the deadlift, exercise, like Chase was saying, exercise selection is very key. The sumo, it's in starting strength. It's in the book, which is really funny. Everyone thinks that starting strength is very anti-sumo. We just very explicitly say there is a purpose for it. You
Hmm.
may fit into this purpose, but otherwise, we think the other one is better. If I don't know what episode of the Starting Strength Radio it was on. Have you been watching those recently, Chase?
I've been listening to them on Spotify because
Um,
I haven't been paying for the network.
you get the free network membership with the coaching thing.
I thought I
No,
had to pay for it.
no, you
Well, I'm
just
a
gotta sign
dumbass.
up.
Well,
You have to sign up, and you put in the code, the special secret code that we have.
oh well, this is
Mhm.
news to me.
Dude, you got to check that out. All the cornbread videos you're missing.
Oh
Um,
fuck.
but I think the last one was like something venison. There was baked macaroni and cheese was on there too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, but Rip was the strength co. So Grant's people reposted it. But basically, he was saying like it's like dogma as much as 2 + 2 = 4 is dogma. And then Rip has he kind of does a whole little thing with his hands. It's very cute. It's very cute. Hands up looking through his eyes or through his fingers. But yeah, so we address sumo. The reason for sumo is that if your stomach is so large, it prohibits your legs from being in the middle, right? So if you need to get your legs out of the way of the bar and then your arms are tilted out to the side so much that it becomes impractical, you bring your arms back to the middle and you let your legs go to the outside. That's a really good use case for sumo for a new trainee. Um, and Chase has had to do it. I've had to do it before too. Um, and then, so you normally go to the low rack pull to start?
I'll try to, just because I want this person to still train their back
Yeah.
more effectively, right? Again, try to satisfy the criteria as best as we possibly can. But
Mhm.
we got to pull off the floor at some point, and sumo satisfies that, so why not?
Yep, exactly. And then the overhead press. This is a pretty easy peasy one.
Yeah.
There's very few restrictions on the overhead press for most people.
And actually, like whenever we teach like the hip movement, like a bunch of these bigger guys are just they nail it. Like they can just throw their belly forward, and they're like, "Oh, like
hmm
this," and you're like, "Yes, fuck yeah, dude."
Yeah, I just met a new client for the first time. I was doing some in-person work with him. I think it was last week. The squat really rough. It was really rough for him. Deadlift really rough for him. Bench was like okay. The press clicked with him rather well, and then he just shot off, and I was like, okay, all right, that's a surprise. But
Yeah, I've had a few of those guys who are just
you
like
see it.
the
He was a
most. Yeah,
chunkier guy in the belly as well. So,
yeah,
hmm um, yeah, I kept telling him to punch his stomach to the wall, and I think he just knows how to throw his weight around. So he just
yeah.
fucking rammed that thing
He's
forward.
been belly bumping the guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Chest bump a smaller fat person to assert your dominance. That's what it's
Yeah,
like. But yeah, so I think that with a lot of people who, let's say, if we're associating inactivity and lack of exercise or being sedentary with these like obesogenic related conditions, there's going to be a big overlap in that Venn diagram, right? A lot of these people aren't going to have excellent shoulder mobility to get into this position. Their arms may even be too big to get like here, but not from like a just basically just from it being excessively fat. Like
yeah,
you'll see some people who like a rack position may look like this for them when they start. Basically, they won't be able to really get it in, and that's totally fine. You basically just have to move the grip out. But the point is, you want it really close to the shoulder. You want to get it over the shoulder as soon as you can once it's past the head. Um, Anything else on the press that you'll find?
um, just mobility in general,
hmm
like a lockout and stuff like that. Because again, you hit the nail on the head. Just how sedentary these people are. They're not really used to doing anything posterior, like reaching behind them or anything like that. It's just all interior. So them locking a load out overhead, and whenever we talk about the squat here in a little bit, like getting to the just even a high bar position is really difficult for these people.
Yeah, yeah, that's the next big one to cover. It's the squat. So we have similar constraints on the squat with the stomach that we do on the deadlift. The stomach will influence the stance. The stance will normally just get relatively wide. We don't have to worry about the arms being around the legs now because we're doing a squat. The big thing though is the bar position. What ends up normally happening in these people's bar positions, Chase?
Fuck man, it starts as high as possible, right on their
It's
little
like just
hump pad.
yeah,
Yep. Yeah,
yeah,
almost on their top of their head. I
that's
mean,
rough.
yeah, and it kind of just sits there, and they have enough padding to where like they're not going to rest right on their vertebrae, and they're fine with it. But as a coach, you're just like, man, this looks fucking terrible. I wish we could change it, but you can't.
hmm Yeah, and it's not really like it's not that they won't be able to get their arms kind of down. It's just that they won't really be able to go back at all. They just
Yep.
kind of get stuck at about like here. So like if you can see me, their arms are going to go back basically about that far. That's it, as far as they're going to get.
Hmm.
So a lot of times it's been literally high bar, shrugged. They'll have two fingers on, and then that's
Hmm.
that's what you'll get. Um,
Or even
so
like sleeve to
there's
sleeve. Like we have a guy who literally has to move his hands out of the way to re-rack it.
he's
Yeah,
going
exactly.
okay. And see one of the big boys, or does he just have limited
No,
shoulder
he's
mobility?
one of the big boys.
One of the big ones.
Hmm.
hmm
Dude, so
Man,
get this, like he actually he's always been big his whole entire life, but he was an ex WWE wrestler. Not
ooh,
like
sick.
top like tier, but
Yeah.
he almost made it on like the final level type thing. And apparently like he would jump off the top rope at like 3:30 and just fucking
3:30.
yeah, dude, just you ever seen like a WWE where it was like that Samoan dude? It was like Umaga or whatever the fuck his name was, and he just like had his ass cheeks just flying out everywhere and just
Mhm.
bumping people.
Yeah.
That's kind of like how he was doing. Just
Dude, what a
fucking super
hero.
athletic. I mean, he's super athletic, but just fat. Just
That's just a
huge.
national treasure is what those people
Yeah.
are. Yeah. Do we think we need to send those people to other countries as ambassadors to America and be like,
Oh
"Look,
yeah.
we're actually all this obese, but we're also super athletic."
Yeah.
Bust a backflip out at 3:30. Um, But yeah, so the big thing is going to be bar position. You will very rarely be able to jam someone into a low bar position who is very sedentary, just in general. If they're sedentary, plus they have a large amount of backwards projection of mass on their back because they have multiple like inches of back fat, um, it's just not going to happen. You're going to have to settle for high bar, but like Chase said, it's a very good point. Is that it's super padded, so it's not like you're going to have like a 60-year-old woman and she puts the bar in a high bar position and then re-racks it immediately because it's crushing her bone.
Hmm.
You know, so it kind of balances out. But that's a really low order priority for you, right, Chase?
Yep.
Okay,
Super
so what's
priority.
the primary priorities that you're working with for this squat?
Man, it's still the big things that make a squat, right? So leaning over, driving with the hips, and then if we can, depth. So this is kind of the big thing, right? And whenever you see it, this is true for like anyone who's really weak, like fat people and just weak people in general, they just plop down into a seat. It's because
Hmm.
they can't hold themselves in that bottom position. So we modify that by doing like a box squat, a banded squat, so you can kind of squat inside the rack with bands across it, kind of help you out of the bottom position. But something to
So
where
that they're holding onto the bands or they're sitting into the
no, no, no.
bands.
So like you have the rack, right? And then
Yeah.
here's the safeties, and in between you have bands. So like let's say green is the most elastic, right? And you have two of them, and they just squat down, and then as they go into the position where the bands kind of carry them, they have less weight essentially on their
Hmm.
body weight because
Yeah.
the elastic, right? Yeah, exactly. And then that
Hmm.
helps them out of the bottom position.
Hmm.
I kind of don't like that because it kind of just fucks up, and people can't really like get the bands underneath them quite as well.
Yeah,
So
it's a
I just
very
go with like
severe
box.
situation.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
box, totally fine there. And then from there, we teach them as they're sitting down, like to look. This is the most important part. You have nothing to hang on to help you up, so you're gonna have to shove your stomach down as best as you can,
Hmm.
lean over, and jack your ass up.
Yeah. It's a lot some of the tactile cues are different depending on who it is. So it's like
Mhm.
if you're working with like a relatively lean guy and you're like point your nipples at the floor, he'll understand that. So like if Barbara comes in and she's a mother of 3 and they're in college now and you're like point your nipples at the floor and she'll be like they already are. They have been for quite some time. It's going to be a little bit different. So like some of the cues that we use for the deadlift, like push your stomach between your thighs. Sometimes on the squat, I'll say keep your pecs up, but push your stomach down. This set
Mhm.
of cues that we're using will have to change depending on who the person is, particularly if they got a lot of junk in the trunk. So, like Chase was saying, you're focusing on the big points, which is leaning over, driving hips up, and then. So, have you noticed that or really let's say your wrestler for example was he more than capable or competent enough to do a squat to depth and then hips out with body weight no complications or was that hard at
I
the
think
beginning for him?
he couldn't really he if he was a little bit lighter, like how he was today
Hmm.
or is today, yeah, he could probably hit death, but he was just so big that he really couldn't. Like his adductors reached, their extensibility. His knees are so far out. His stance, we modified it as wide as we could. It just he
Hmm.
wasn't hitting depth, right? We were about parallel, but we can't go any further because he can't go down anymore, and his gut was just in the way.
Yeah, there's tissues running into tissue.
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
there's kind of like a critical point with everyone, but it takes a little bit of a heavier bar whenever you're dealing with larger people. Whenever the center of mass more closely approximates the barbell. So I work with an older woman, and she's rather heavy set, and then she's squatting about like 110ish pounds. Perfect squat with the bar. Without the bar, she can barely get down to a quarter squat. She can do a
Wow.
box squat and stand up perfectly with the box squat, but just with the way that she's built, she has like a really short torso, but big belly, big butt, big thighs. So if she leans over with that center of mass, she will fall backwards. There's
Mm.
just nothing that's going to happen. She needs the barbell to pin her onto the middle of her foot, and then she can do a beautiful squat. It's a great squat. So the center of mass changes. It's like that guy, the wrestler, he may not be able to do one at body weight, or to me with just his body weight for a while. But if you put 225 on the bar and it can keep him on the middle of his foot, he'll be able to kind of rotate everything down and get to depth. Um, so sometimes it's okay to keep putting weight on the bar to get to that goal. If later on they're going to be able to get to depth because they'll be able to stay a midfoot. Um, Race said, "I can get down to depth with good back angle, but only if I have very forward knees. I'm not sure if that's an obesity issue or anthropometry issue." Um, What do you think, Chase, about forward knees?
It is. I think he's probably not bending the hips and knees at the same time. I think you're probably overdoing the leaning over, and your knees are kind of just shooting forward at the end. You're kind of maybe sliding your knees, or they're just not getting there. Period. So what I like to tell people, just kind of make your shoulders and your knees and your toes kind of align like a constellation. So you're going to lean over, touch your knees, and your knees are going to stop where your toes are. So just kind of get those 3 points in a video. If you watch yourself squat,
Hmm.
you'll be golden every time.
That's good. I like that. Line them up like a constellation. Yeah, that's it. It sounds like you're describing knee slide, which is holding the knees back too far, like Chase
Yep.
was saying, and then they pop forward to the bottom. Um, Cardio for big boys. What do you think, Chase?
So the priorities are kind of changed, right? So yes, strength is the most general adaptation. We want that, but we can't really facilitate a strength training program because just how fucking big this guy is, right?
Mhm.
So we got to find something to where they're burning off calories and they're going to be in a deficit um, with their diet, but again, they're still active to where they're burning fat. So cardio, yeah, perfect. Like we have several people push the Prowler, and
Mhm.
that beats kind of like what they were going to originally thought. Like, hey, we're going to be running on a treadmill or anything like that. We have a bike, so all those things. These things are going to be very magical for a very obese person.
Mhm. Man, magical prowlers for the obese. And
Hmm.
then upon that sentence, Cool Dude 69 comes in. How's it going to Cool Dude? Um, yeah, so for cardio we can say the same thing for a sedentary population. There's
Yep.
really no difference here. You want low impact and relatively low duration. If you're like a real go get 'em guy and you're like, all right, we're gonna have you do some burpees or some shuttle runs, or we're gonna have you get on the stairmaster, we're gonna have you do something fast and flashy. It's not gonna work. You're gonna have someone go down for a burpee and then be completely unable to get up. If they're
Hmm.
very undertrained, it's just not going to happen. So you basically just want to start with something that you have 100% confidence in that they'll be able to do, and then they can stop egress easily. The Prowler is a great one, right? They can lean into the Prowler and walk under load, try really hard, and then they get a little built-in break because they have to stop, get to the other side, turn it around, or just turn the whole thing around themselves. Prowler is a great one if you have it. Um, I think the big thing here it's building a habit and then also a tolerance for exercise.
Yeah.
Because if you run into someone who's very undertrained and then rather big, even just like the 3 sets of 5 squats, or let's say if you're doing the whole warm up introductory session, you're coaching them, you may be like 7 or 8 sets deep at that point, just from just all the teaching, and then they'll be winded and they'll be like, shit, this is a lot, you know.
Yep.
So you need to sprinkle these things in. Just they have a higher tolerance for just the length of these sessions, even if to like let's say just an average person, average BMI, average level of fitness, they're not that hard at all. You know,
Yep.
um, I'm planning to add an elite FTS prowler to my home gym. How much is an elite FTS prowler, cool dude? What do you think, Chase?
I'm
What's your
going
bet?
around like 6 or 500.
Okay, all right, elite.
Is this the one that has like wheels on it, or
Ooh, Chase, buddy, you were wrong.
like very wrong? How much is it? Like 1,000?
It is $1,400.
Jesus Christ! What
It
does
is
it look like?
all right. Hold on, I gotta.
Cool dude said 550.
All right. Well, I'm going to pull this up then. If we're questioning the prowling that's happening here.
Cool man, you may reevaluate what your
All
Prowler.
right. This is the prow. Oh wait, this is 3 prowlers. That's why.
Oh,
Okay. So if you're getting 3 prowlers, that's what we're looking at here. I just looked up. I looked up Elite FDS Prowler, and this was the first link that came up.
because yeah, we always buy Prowlers in threes.
Everybody needs 3 prowlers. Okay, this is way more reasonable. Thank you, cool dude. Yeah, cool dude. That's 3 of them. I was confirmed. That was the 3 pack. If you're a football team and you need 3 of them, are you getting the Prowler Junior? Probably, if I'd imagine.
Prowler Junior.
This one looks pretty sick. Check this out, Chase.
Damn, dude.
You see that?
Yeah.
You get
I
that.
guess
You
can
can
you like
pull
push
it.
in that?
Yeah, it's a little fucking shoulder yoke.
Yeah,
That's how I
that's pretty
like to
cool.
use prowlers, anyways. If it has a top bar, I just get under the top bar and put it on my shoulders, and I just push.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Back to the thing. I thought Cool Dude was getting a $1,500 prowler. I was like, what in the fuck
It's fucking gold plated.
is this guy doing? Um, yeah, I always tell people to make their prowlers because it's fun. You just get some lumber and a little skid plate, and it's fine. It's not hard to do at all. But yeah, if you have access to a treadmill, just a normal flat treadmill is fine. Walk around the parking lot, whatever. Sometimes that can be embarrassing for people. A seated bike or a recumbent bike are also really good options.
Yeah.
So how do you normally approach talking to diet with these people, Chase? And I'm curious, do you have like regulations on that? Is with it being a franchise, they're like, we want you to talk to these people, these are the things we want you to say, things like that.
No, not really. I mean,
Okay.
because it's highly individualized with
Yeah.
dieting, right? Like 9 times out of 10, obese people coming in already know that they need to be doing some diet shit, right?
Right.
So what we have them do is just look. We're gonna start out small because they instantly think like, oh, let's go for the worst. Let's cut out like everything I'm eating, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
gonna starve myself. It's like,
Right.
no, you can't do that, right? Your body is very efficient at storing stuff, and we
Yeah.
need it not to be, right?
Yeah.
So just make a list of what you're eating, and we actually show them like, look, like you're not eating a whole bunch, but what you're eating is just a whole bunch of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, like we have a guy in here who literally eats like 2 meals a day, and he's over three. Like, yeah, and those meals are big, but he doesn't see a problem of like, look, if we add more meals, this is going to be more beneficial for your metabolism, and then from there it just kind of eats away your storages. And kind of getting him to understand that's going to be the tricky part. But yeah, they just need to see their habits, right? And then once they see their habits, they need to slowly start changing their habits by introducing more meals, maybe more snacks, finding out those snacks need to be highly more dense in protein, that they maybe are they're more than likely going to be lacking. Or just look, you're eating a bunch of you're taking a bunch of pop or soda with your meals. Just cut that out first, right?
Yeah. Like it's very so for a lot of people if they're just not thinking about it, like you go to Walmart, it's 99 cents for a 2 liter of the generic
Hmm.
brand of Sprite or Coca-Cola or whatever the hell it is. That's you can get 16, 18, 2000 or 2000 calories worth of sugar just in that 2 liter bottle for
Yeah,
99 cents. Economically wonderful for calories percent. But people can just drink that. You're like, oh well, I just got one, and we just get a big pack of them whenever we go during our weekly grocery shopping trip, and then they're just gone the next time we do that.
yeah,
A lot of people don't realize what the big ticket items are. So if you're dealing with someone, or if you are someone who has like rather serious dietary problems, connect with an RD or a nutritionist. You likely have at some point in the past, but it's good just to check in on it again. Check in on it again and be like, hey, I'm going to start this whole exercise venture. I'm going to start working out, training with barbells. Um, what considerations are there? What are the things that I should be on the lookout for? And they'll be able to help you out. Um, it's it kind of takes a village with these things. Like it doesn't happen on its own. It's very rare for people just be like, well, I just kind of lived by myself. I had no external inputs, and all of a sudden I was 400 pounds. It comes from
exactly.
kind of a food culture built within your house.
Yep,
Like Chase was saying, like, remember in the cooking episode, and you were like, yeah, my dad didn't cook. All we did was eat fast food.
yep.
Yeah. So like imagine if you didn't find like strength training and you didn't
Well, yeah,
find
and
all
I
of
was
that
I
stuff.
was gonna say too, like if you look at people buying groceries, like me and Phoebe look weird because we have vegetables and like raw meat. That's it.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
like water and then maybe some crackers. Everyone else has literally like hot pockets, box stuff, already pre-made shit, and no one has ever gone to like the meat counter or like the vegetable section and actually got stuff, except for like maybe apples or some shit. But
Hmm.
other than that, it's already pre-packaged.
Yeah. Like I go grocery shopping weekly. Almost all of it is just for fresh meats, fruits, and
Yep.
vegetables. All of the other stuff,
Yep.
it's like rice, pasta, beans, all that
Exactly.
stuff you can get every other month, things like that. Here we go. This is a good one. Bernard said Baker recommends Lyle McDonald's rapid fat loss diet for big clients. Do you guys have experience with that approach? Um, I'll take this one to start. Chase, I don't know if you have experience with this.
I do not.
So Lyle McDonald is a proponent of the protein sparing modified fast. Essentially, it's saying, hey, if you just don't want to lose muscle mass, all you really need to do is just lay on the ground and eat protein. That's it. Don't eat anything else. Eventually, all the fat will come off. You can operate at like a 2,000 calorie a day deficit, and it's great. I think there's a good amount of data to support the fact that that is totally fine. It's not deleterious. The amount of carbs that you need for your brain that'll be converted from protein, the protein that you need will be floating around, readily available. It'll be fine. You're not going to be massively catabolic if you do the rapid fat loss diet. Um, Basically, it's kind of like you're weighing with these people. Um, is this something that we can do for the long run? Is it something that has like staying power, because they may be able to lose 30 pounds relatively quickly, but then they may say immediately after that, all right, perfect. I've already lost 30 pounds in a month. I know how to do it now. I'm not going to go to this gym
Yeah.
anymore. I'm just going to do it by myself. And then they come back. I was just dealing this with one of my clients' girlfriends, actually. I just started working with his girlfriend. She was having really bad cholesterol test. Worked with her for like a month and a half. She lost a bunch of weight. She was feeling really good, and she's like, "I think I'm good now." And it's like, what?
I got this.
um, yeah, yeah. So there are psychological considerations to play into. Not everyone's a rational consumer. Not everyone's a rational actor. At the times that I've used Lyle McDonald's rapid fat loss approaches, they've worked, but I've done it because it's like, oh, okay, I'm going on, like, I have this pool party coming up, or let's say I have this like convention coming up that I want to be like shredded for, something like that. That's totally fine. Any thoughts, Chase?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Like, kind of like what I was saying earlier. Like these guys or gals, like they have huge vats of storage already. So you just need to put your body in a deficit. I mean, it's simple like math here. And you want to increase protein, and that's about it. So you just want to hang on to the relatively small amount of muscle mass that you have, so you don't just completely atrophy and emaciate. But um, I think this could work for a lot of people, but at some point you have to stop this because it's going to be
Yeah.
detrimental.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah,
The hardest diets I've ever done have been the protein sparing modified fasting diets, or the rapid fat loss diets. Literally, not eating for 5 days was way easier than the protein sparing modified fast. Way easier,
fuck,
because you're
dude.
just like not eating at all, and you're like, okay, that's fine, and then your brain shuts off all the hunger stuff, and you're okay. But on the protein sparing ones and the rapid fat loss ones, you're still eating, but you're just starving the whole time. So
Fuck. Yeah.
yeah, would not recommend for longevity, but it's cool if you're trying to do like little tricks and look nice in a short period of time. Um, so it's pretty easy to get these people into a deficit because A, they burn more calories than you think because of how large they are.
Hmm.
B, they are so used to eating just a tremendous amount of things. If you take out if you just kind of substitute in some certain things, it's like, hey, anytime you're gonna have a Snickers, go have 2 bananas, right? It's still less calories. Go have an apple and a kiwi or something. It's like, hey, anytime you're just going to go drink some Coke, drink some Diet Coke. You may be able to do super simple substitutions and pull out literally 1,500 calories in their day, and then the weight just starts falling off.
Yep.
Mhm. How are your boys doing? How are the big boys doing on their weight loss journeys?
And they're doing good. Like that ex wrestler dude, he's lost like he started out I think around 440. Lost
And
like
he's pretty tall, right? You said he was pretty tall.
no, this guy's about a little shorter than me. He's probably about 5'11", 5'10".
That's really tall, Chase.
No.
That's really tall. I'm only 5'2". You have to remember that,
Well, that's
Chase.
right. I forgot.
5'11". That's towering.
Yeah, you have to look up straight
Yeah.
up.
So he started at 440. That's
Yep.
crazy.
And I think
Okay.
he dropped down to about 400, but his recomposition is totally different. Like he's filled out a little bit more. He's still very big, and again, like we only have this person for 90 minutes, 3
Mm-hmm.
days a week, so it's hard to be like, look, we can get you here further and way faster by just slapping food out of your mouth, but this goes back to the psyche thing that you're talking about, and he's working on it, and he's again doing habit changes where he's cooking more, he's introducing just meals that aren't just already prepackaged. So this has
Yeah.
been a complete and total life changing event for him, and
Mm-hmm.
he's loving it, and he doesn't want to stop, and he actually wants to do a meet later this year. So
Oh, that's awesome.
we're working on pulling off the floor, which is just
A
like,
bench meet or a press?
no, I think he wants to do a press meet.
Nice. Sick. That's what
Yeah,
you should just call them. There should be press meets and bench meets. That's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
the cool ones and the not so cool
Yeah.
ones.
Cut out all the federation stuff. Okay. That's really interesting. Okay. So he's just still doing rack pulls.
Uh, yes. So we have him doing that for strength, right? And then we're kind
Mm-hmm.
of practicing a
Practice floor
deadlift. Yeah,
pulls. Okay. That's really cool. I'm excited to see the interview you guys do with him in a few
yeah, man.
months. Yeah. Man. Okay, yeah. So small victories, focus on substitutions. Um, and one thing that we kind of hinted on here is that you want ample quantities and you want to avoid binging.
Mhm.
People who are kind of in this territory, they could eat 3,000 calories in a meal and not blink.
Yep.
you know. So you want things to be like ample. You want literal low hanging fruit all over the place. That way they don't go like, I'm going to go to, let's say, Cookout or fucking Whataburger on the way home, and I'm going to spend $40 and I'm going to eat it in the car and then go home and have dinner.
Yeah.
You want things to be super convenient for them, and then that's kind of the substitutions. Another big thing Chase clued in on, he's cooking more. When Chase said he's cooking more, even if you eat the same exact item that you would go and get in a restaurant, if you just make it at home, because you're probably not as good at making it delicious, it will be way less calories,
Oh,
20,
yeah.
30% less calories. That's a really good place to start too. Anything else you want to cover before we go to form checks, Chase?
No, man, it's a big journey, and definitely it's very rewarding whenever you see someone that you would never think should be stepping into a gym just comes in and does a life changing event. Just the considerations again, just it's exercise selection for the vast majority of the lifts, and that's really about it.
Yeah, exercise selection for sure. Yeah. Ray said he wished strength lifting meets would be more common. Yeah. Do your own mock meet, dude. Just pick a date 8 months
Yep.
out and train really hard for it. Things always go well when you're prepping for something. Always be prepping for something. All right, so we'll pull these form checks up. Got a lot of deadlifts today that we're going over. And we have one more from Henry from the other. We'll start with Henry this time. Oh, I wish you could hear this music. It's like techno music.
Which one's Henry again?
He's the big boy from
We had him on. Okay.
We did, yeah. We looked at him the last episode, and he sent in another squat video, apparently to Mick, just right before this episode. Dude, he's jamming out right now.
Was this like Eastern Bloc gym type music?
It's just like house music. He's just listening.
Oh,
he's
that's
pumping
awesome.
house music right now for some reason. Empty gym. No other humans in here.
So do you think it's the gym music or his music?
It's the gym music, yeah. It's the gym music.
That's cool. What's this guy's name again?
Henry from the Netherlands.
Henry, you're going to have to lean over a little bit sooner, man. So kind of like what we were telling Race in the comments, I want your knees and your shoulders and your toes kind of just all align. So another way of thinking about this is like there's a box, you're a jack in the box, and you just need to cram yourself straight down into it. And then you have to do that by bending everything at once, right? And that should solve it all.
I'm going to try to pause at his bottom position. So your bottom position, Henry, it's really solid.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're getting to the correct bottom position. We're talking about the pacing, right? So like what Chase is saying, it's like get all three of those points right in a line as soon as you can. It's perfect. These are a huge improvement from last time. Do you remember last time, Chase?
Yeah, I think he was like really far forward, right?
Yeah, he was super forward and then high as well.
Yeah, these are way better.
Yeah, way to go, dude. I think people in the Netherlands really like house and trance music. I have two older clients. I have three clients for the Netherlands. Two of them are older. It's an older couple. The guy's like 65.
Like how old are we talking? Oh, 65?
Yeah, I have a video of his deadlift actually. We'll pull up his deadlift. His name is
bumping
Boss.
Like Skrillex or some shit?
So he was like, oh, we've been going to some music festivals recently. Here's one of us. Here's a photo of us at Armin van Buren, and it's a picture of him with like, I don't know if you follow trance or anything, but it's like one of the most popular trance artists in the world. It's just him with all of his like 6'5" bros, like the trance concert, and he's like 65, and I'm like, all right,
that's cool as fuck.
It is. So this is Boss BAS. He's pulling 210 in this video. So this is a practice single. We're working on some singles for him, and then I have a working set after this. What do you think, Chase? How easy was that if you had to rate that?
Man, that's pretty easy. If he was going to a meet, that's definitely an opener.
Okay, so that's 210. What do you think would be 100% on there?
In kilos, it's 210?
This is 210 kilos. Do you think he could do 220? Do you guys have a 10 on there?
Yeah, I'd say he'd probably get close to like, I would like to see him do maybe 225.
225.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to keep this in mind. I'm going to like, listen, boss, you can do it, buddy.
If you just make him go like, I would go, what? It's 210 First one, second one like 217, and then try 225.
Solid scheme. Yeah, he's a fast puller, really fast off the floor. I think he's still pulling a little bit forward. This is kind of an unfortunate angle, but he wanted us to go over
It
these.
kind of seems like his hips are a little bit low. Like there, it kind of just raises up a little bit.
Yeah, he has that kind of old guy unintentional Konstantinov back, the upper back thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks low. Hips are a little close, but he's got the rounded upper back going on. But yeah, real solid pulls from Boss. All right, let's see who else we got going on. We got another one from D. Reynolds. So
D. Reynolds.
Yeah, D. Reynolds. All right.
Suppress.
Oh, dude. He had way more in him. This is just a single.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is 230.
Yeah, man, that's pretty damn easy.
Yeah. What do you think about the form, Chase?
It's not bad. He's just kind of laying back a little bit too much.
Do you think too early or just too much?
I think too much. So
too much, okay.
Right there, he's just instantly shoving back his shoulders and stuff to initiate the hip movement. Think of the bend happening lower here, Reynolds. Just like throw like the end of your shorts forward or like your quads towards the mirrors, right? And then the shoulders don't move.
Okay, so during the bounce, you want him to think steady shoulders, get the knee, get the quads forward.
Because there he just kind of laid back. He has a little bit of a bounce, but
yeah,
he kind of.
There's not much of a rebound. He's not like coming up with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really solid, man. I honestly, like, if someone was like, okay, I'm going to hit this for a triple, that seemed about like 3 reps in reserve, I'd say. It seems like that you can get that for a clean triple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll watch some squats from Eric here. Eric's an interesting guy. He just interviewed Jonathan Sullivan. He has his own podcast. It's called the Fitness Candor Podcast.
Nice.
You guys can check that out. But he just talked to Sully. He talked to Nick before. Nick Dodio. That must have been nice for Nick to not be at the seminar for once.
Yeah, he said it was like his first in 6 years.
That's really cool.
It's kind of weird, man, not seeing him there. It was like,
yeah, you were like, who's going to run the seminar? Yeah.
What do we do now?
I know. Everybody starts smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he's sliding a little bit onto his knees here.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting a little bit forward. Do you think you should lean over more, or do you think you should focus on hips back more, Chase?
I'm going to go with another option, just bend his knees a little bit faster.
More knees faster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then how did you come to that conclusion?
So like he has the leaning over solid, but again, it's how his knees are sliding at the end. Like here on this first rep, it's just bam, leaning over, and then right bouncing off the calves. So to stop that, usually just setting the knees in place usually fixes that. And then once you freeze the knees, you have no other option than to just bounce off the hips, which is what we want.
It's a very unique sensation to get a good bounce out of your hips.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people are just so used to getting a bounce out of their knees for like a decade of squatting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think these are overall pretty clean. Had a few reps in reserve. They were decently fast.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got on. We have some newer people, I believe. Oh yeah, we got another one from Leo coming in. Do you remember Leo?
Yeah, he has like the nightclub gym.
Yeah, nightclub wizard beard.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What is that a dumbbell at the end of the
Yeah, he has a Velcro strap around the bar.
Why?
To put the dumbbell on it.
I know, but why the dumbbell? Why can't he just like it?
I think it's a 2.5 pound dumbbell.
Oh, okay. So they don't have 2.5 plates.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's annoying.
I love this country so much. Whatever country this is, it's my favorite one. This guy's amazing.
Just fuck it, man. Just start taking 10-pound jumps because the goddamn dumbbell.
Yeah. Just to repeat the same weight for a session, and then just go 10-pound jump after that. What do you think about these squats, Chase?
They're pretty damn good. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's kind of losing a little bit of the low back extension there, kind of on the way up, kind of getting rounded some. But overall, man, these are pretty damn good. If anything, I mean, I just put you in a belt, and this would probably iron itself out.
Yeah. A little more lower back tightness. I think just a little more confidence, maybe. I think he could do these faster. I think he may be doing it slowly because he may not want those dumbbells to fall off. I don't know
Yeah,
how securely those are on there, but it seems to me like he's trying to do a little bit of a tempo squat. You know what I mean?
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like he has maybe like a pendulum effect because of the
Mhm.
dumbbells.
Yeah. Very curious about this, Leo. Very curious. Because sometimes I'll see him have those tiny plates. Sometimes I'll see him have safeties. It's interesting. The gym is different every single time.
That is, man.
Yeah. Just what a lovely country.
It's like cocktails, man. There's just always a new cocktail, so might as well have new
I know,
weights.
man. He's got to work with it, dude. All right. Who else do we got going on? We looked at Boss. Okay, Brian. Check out Trey. Check out Trey's deadlift. Do you remember the guy who works out in like the construction
Oh,
gym?
yep.
This is one of his friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just saw him, building and training. He's like, man, I got to do that.
He's just like, dude, saw my boy packing some quads. He's packing some heat. We gotta get those things.
No, it's not a bad effort that he put into this.
I think it's rather solid.
We can save it. We can save it.
Yeah, we can salvage it. The big thing here, I'll find a little pause frame for it. He's getting set up, dropping the shins to the bar. He's a little bit far away from the front, but basically all of the effort into extension has gone into the lower back, but he's kind of forgotten about this one. So one of the cues that I really like to use, and this was in the Steve Ross video as well, make your arms really long and get your chest far away from the bar. So some people, they'll think everything's in the lower back. It's a risky lower back movement, whatever reason they'll be thinking it. All their brain's going to be there, and they will neglect to extend their upper back. So most people seeing your chest up, that'll work as a cue. If it doesn't, think about get your chest up and away from the bar, aim your pecs at the wall in front of you, a bunch of things. I like to use tactile cues for this situation. I just jam it through, pick their pecs up with it. The big thing is working at this area. That needs to be straighter. I think if we wanted a kind of a more mechanical explanation of what's happening here, he's set up too far away from the bar, so he's shortening his back by rounding it to get his shoulder closer to the weight. Because if he had a straight back right now, he would be way too far forward. The bar would have to move. So he's kind of calibrated into this position. So we do want him to get closer.
Have you ever heard of so I started this cue. I'm going to trademark it before it's fucking stolen by someone. Make an alien pop out of your chest, kind of like the Alien movies. And everyone who's ever done that, or I've used that cue with, it's worked every single time.
Okay. The one that I use that's similar to that is I'll say if someone's standing in front of you, they should be able to see your nipple time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like if you're squatting, someone's in front of you when you're squatting, they should be able to see your pecs. I like the Alien though. That requires they've seen Alien, which almost everyone has.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it works so far. Now I get like a kid or two who are
if you
just
talk
like,
to a child, they'll be like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
What are you talking about? And I'm like, "Look, you got homework, and then you're gonna come back, and we're gonna do the Alien."
Right. I'm not gonna coach you anymore until you see this. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How common is the rounded upper back that you'll see with people who can extend their lower back, but they just don't extend their upper back?
Man, it's fairly common because I mean, look, your body's gonna do this to solve the math problem in front of it, right? Or the physics problem. Whether you know it or not, like it's trying to make it more advantageous, its position to pick up the load. And to do that, it's going to set its low back and then round the upper back.
Yeah.
So we just want you to be the opposite, where you have to get up closer and then actually use your upper back.
Yes. Yeah. It may seem counterintuitive, but we want you to train your muscles when you're using them. We want the whole thing as tight and as erect as it can get. It's kind of similar to what Boss was doing earlier. Like this gentleman, 100% sure he can extend his upper back.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with kind of an older guy, dealing with a geezer, he may not be able to squeeze his chest up to get into that really good position. It just may not be on the cards. For the people who can, you need to have. I'm very stringent about it. If you can do it, you should and need to be doing it. If you can't do it, there's really no point in harping on it. Like if you have a 65, 70-year-old in there and you're like, hey, man, I really want you to straighten out your upper back, it's not going to happen, regardless of how much you try. But for people who can, you definitely should take the time.
Yeah. Plus, they get pissed at you, like, dude, just leave me the fuck alone about my back. I've done that. I've made that mistake where I'm like, look, you gotta flatten this, and they're like, I can't. This is literally as best as gonna get.
Yeah, this is the opposite scenario, is what we're going to see here. I need to share it. That would be helpful. Now we're going to see someone who cares about their back being way too straight at the cost of other mechanics. So you can kind of solve the problem in two ways. This is 370 on the bar. And this is just a practice single. And then we have another working set that they sent later on. Yeah, this guy has a very short range of motion, which is very nice. Yeah, he's moving the bar about 1.5 feet. How often do you see stuff like this happen? And not in the starting strength gyms, I'm sure, because people are taught correctly, but
Yeah.
elsewhere.
Well, just like, let's say like an average Joe coming off the street and then showing them how to deadlift, and we were like, hey, let's see your deadlift. Not that many people. Granted, like they would probably drop their ass, but the amount of back extension, no, people would probably just round their back and pull. But
Yeah.
here, this guy clearly may have injured himself in the past and was like, fuck this, I'm never going to injure my back again, and just oversets the shit out of it.
Yeah.
At the cost of now he's dropping his ass, the bar is moving forward, and it's out of position whenever he starts.
Yeah, we could see it right here. He starts to pull, the hips come up, the bar recalibrates,
Yep.
and then it starts moving. Yeah, so we basically just want that to not happen. That's the goal. So whenever this is happening, it's just kind of wasted effort. It's going to be a little bit more of an uncomfortable pull. And a lot of times you can see this on the lifter's face too. So it's kind of a good clue. So like what Chase was saying, he was like, "Oh, let's see, maybe this guy has injured his back before." You watch his face. As soon as he starts pulling, he's wincing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that comes into play with people who are super, super vigilant about back extension. Okay, let's go over here. Go Dre, Henry. Oh yeah, one more deadlift here.
So do you see that a lot whenever people kind of just squat up a load like that?
So most of my clients, they are new to starting strength, but have lifted from a lot of other resources before. I will see that super commonly, where it's like, I think something bad is gonna happen to my back, something crazy is gonna go on if it's not like overextended. All right, so we'll check out James here. The video kind of cuts right in the middle of rep 1, so we'll pay attention to rep 2.
Jeez, dude. Like this is kind of fascinating. I mean, like this load is literally like behind his midfoot on every single rep as on the lockout.
Yeah.
Like there, the first one he's doing.
Right there.
He's at a fucking angle. That's like 85 degrees.
Yeah.
Relative to the floor. That's awesome.
This is interesting. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen this before.
Yeah, he's very much so pulling onto the heels.
That's an understatement, dude.
A much less common problem, significantly.
And just the fact that his toes doesn't come up too. It's like this guy has super flexible knees. Like he can hyperextend them.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's cool.
It seems like it's almost coming from like the hips almost. That's just like his hip extension is just pushing past the point where it normally is, and then he leans back a little bit. But yeah, real fast. I want to say this is 425. I think 4 or 5 10s and 2.5s. Or 430. This may be a 430. But yeah, so it's like a decently heavy load for him, but this is pulling behind the midfoot. How do you normally address that, Chase?
Gonna go from the toe standpoint of just mashing your big toe down, stay forward as you pull. To where now it's an overcorrection, so he's really far back. Now we cue him to go really far forward. Hopefully he meets it right in the middle and he stays over the midfoot.
Yep.
If not, then just physically maybe lock his hips in a position to where it can't move back, but you're still forcing them right over in the middle of the foot.
Some of these situations, when someone's starting to pull, you can just kind of put your hand on the middle of their back and just shift them forward.
Yep.
And then they'll be at the right balance point, and then they'll feel it, and then they can kind of understand what's going on. Yeah, it's almost like you just have to give them a perception event where they can see what's correct, and then after that, and then it kind of smooths
Yeah.
itself out. Um, Second to that, the cue that Shay said, jamming the big toe in the ground. I love that one. One thing I'll say, keep your shoulders over your toes, and then stand up under your shoulders, right? So you kind of give them these frames of reference. It's not dissimilar to what Chase was saying about the squat with the constellation one. I like that. Like line up,
Hmm.
shoulders, knees, toes, line them up. Totally going to steal that.
Good,
I'll
man. Go
credit
ahead.
you. I'll credit you.
Everyone be like,
Yeah.
"Who the fuck is that?" Be like, "Don't worry."
And be like, listen, Chase said to do this. And be like, who, what? Sir, this is a
You
Wendy's.
need to get a shirt that
Um,
has like just a bunch of stars on it, and then like has someone. It has like the
mhm.
model, squatting.
Yeah, you could do just like the constellation diagram of someone squatting. Of the yeah,
Yeah,
it's like the static diagram of it, but make it
yeah.
constellation wise. Email Asgard right now. Be like, shirt idea, go.
Shoot for the stars, bro.
Yeah, shoot for the stars.
Do
Oh man. I think that's it for today. Let's see.
you think people are pissed that we didn't get into like how to return to training?
Oh my god, did I forget about that?
Yeah.
What? Chase.
All right, to make it real fast. Look, if
Chase,
you're
holy
coming
shit.
back, yeah,
Are you
you
kidding?
no.
Oh my god. You got to get on my shit about that. Okay, all right. Returning to training. This is the very quick version. Figure out the reason that you left and be very honest about it. Is it actually from injury? You'll know. Is it from illness where you had a tiny cold and then for a week, but you took 3 weeks off? It's a different situation. Were you actually sick for 3 weeks and you lost 15 pounds? Was it just interest and motivation, or was it logistics, like Race was saying earlier? But you still exercised. If it's injury or actual illness, you will have detrained significantly. There's no two ways about it. You have to take significant steps to kind of get back to where you were before, unless you're like really young and really vibrant. If it's interest and motivation, the goal isn't to hit the ground running as hard as you can, because that's probably what you did before, and then you'll burn yourself out again. So if it's interest or motivation for returning for a layoff, you'll have to kind of negotiate and then say, what am I actually willing to do? Can I put my big boy pants on? Can I actually train? Is it if it's logistics? It's like, well, do I need to work an extra shift to pay for gas and for a gym membership? Figure those things out. This is kind of the meat of it, though. I consider a short layoff to be 1 to 2 weeks. That
Yeah.
sound about fair, Chase?
Yep.
Okay. I treat these as a deload, and I just say you're starting your next training block, right? What you
Yep.
just did was a deload. We're starting the new next mesocycle, the next training block, and then you kind of ease back into training. That's a really simple one, right?
Hmm.
Okay. A moderate layoff, I would say, is about a month. You're a few weeks in, a few weeks into that. Is that about reasonable?
Yeah, anywhere from like after 2 weeks and then up. Well, let's say like 2 to 4 weeks. I'm saying, yeah, that's moderate.
Okay, 2 to 4 weeks, that's about moderate. You're going to assume that some detraining has happened, not a tremendous amount. So it's not like you went from squatting 405 and you're going to go back and you will not be able to squat 225 when you come back. It's not how it's going to be. It's going to be more like I hit 405 for a single when I came back. Now I'm going to hit 340, 345 for a single, and it's going to feel just about as hard.
Yep.
You'll get back to it rather quickly. You're going to assume there's detraining. I'd say take about a week or two to taper your volumes back up, to acclimate to it, taper your intensity back up, and then just restart the block. You can't just start a new training block because then you'll be like 4 weeks in and you'll be hitting your stride and the pacing will be all weird. So like take at least a week to just get reacclimated to things and then start the training block again. What do you do after a really long training block, Chase? Or a really long
Always
deload?
a novice linear program, man. Because of the stress recovery adaptation cycle there's been such a delay in it to where you have lost essentially the vast majority of the adaptation or your strength. So we got to rerun it. We got to get it back up.
Yeah, and then this kind of reconciles with, or we have to reconcile this one with, if you were still exercising, if it was like logistics. So, like, let's say you just didn't touch a barbell. It's the pandemic again. The government is like, where you're not allowed to go outside. We're full China, or full California or New York, wherever you are.
Hmm.
Um, you have been exercising at home. You've been doing pull-ups and push-ups and lunges and things like that. You just haven't touched a barbell. You will have probably retained most of your muscle mass, not all of it. Maybe you've retained all of your muscle mass, but the strength is probably just not going to be there at all.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's 3 months away from the barbell, when you go back to the barbell, if we do the 405 example like we did before, if you did 405 for a single before you left, you may be really happy if you hit 295, 315 for a single when you come back. Okay. And it's going to be
Hmm.
a really hard one. And that's if you're technically good, if you're a good athlete. But yeah, it's you got to assume significant detraining, and then you're starting another LP. Um, is the LP faster? Is it shorter? Is there any changes to it that you make in terms of volume, Chase?
No, man, it's going to be faster. So since y'all have started, let's say like your first NLP a few months back, your body isn't completely new to this. So it knows that something's going to happen. You still have some of the structural changes from the previous novice linear program. Your bone density is still increased. Your muscle mass is still increased. It's just not efficient in how it's producing force.
Hmm.
So we got to get that back into gear. For wherever you're starting at on this long layoff, be conservative. And then from there, you're going to do 10-pound jumps, 15-pound jumps, 20-pound jumps to whatever is accurate for you. And this thing is going to be short, probably within 2 to 3 weeks. Like,
Hmm.
let's say half the amount of time that you've been gone. So if you're 2 months, maybe a month, maybe a little bit less of you just adding a bunch of weight to the novice linear
Hmm.
program. Boom, you're good to go.
Yeah, that's a really good heuristic. Like, expect half the length of time in the layoff at most. Obviously, if it's been 2 years, you don't expect a whole year of getting back to
Yeah,
speed.
that's going to be
But
bad.
kind of in this normal, like a few month area. Um, and then if it's past that, if it's just like you just stopped training completely, you're like, oh, well, I used to lift weights in high school. Just consider yourself brand new,
Yeah.
completely brand new. It's
Yep.
not actually returning to training. You're just starting it again. It's completely new. Um, yeah. I haven't the longest layoff I've taken, I think, has been it's been on like camping trips, but I'll still bust out some pull-ups in the morning. So I don't know what to say if that counts. You know what I mean?
Just give us
But
a
I
time frame.
I would be hard pressed to find a week or more of my life where I haven't I would be hard pressed to find more than 3 days where I haven't exercised in terms of training. I'd be hard pressed to find more than a week
I
in
agree,
my
man.
in my
I'm
adult
probably
life.
I'm probably there too. Three to
Yeah.
four is probably the most.
Yeah. It just feels weird. You're just like, "The fuck am I doing?" You know what I mean?
And mainly it's been like right before like a meet, like you have like all this time, like the
Mhm.
yeah, like the maybe 2 sessions right before the week of a meet, like you do something, or like the 4 or 5 days leading up to a meet, you're just like, man, what the fuck am I doing?
I'm just chilling. Do I just sit
Yeah.
here and wait? Yeah.
Yeah, you're
I
just
just lay on the
okay.
floor and eat food and then I'm
Yeah.
strong? Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, it's a when people say it's a lifestyle, it is indeed a lifestyle. Try to avoid
Mhm.
layoffs for as long as you can. I would say it's helpful to take short layoffs, but those are just deloads.
Yeah.
You can still
Yeah.
do productive stuff on a deload. So it's like, let's say, for example, if you want to snatch in your next training block, great time to just to get your introductory
Yep.
technical work in is during that deload.
Hmm.
So like it's you can still get tons of productive stuff in. Anything else about returning to training after a layoff, Chase?
Um, let's say for like the moderate session, or the moderate duration,
Hmm.
what you need to think about and consider with taking weight off the bar. Usually I go maybe 10 to 5 pounds, a workout that you've been gone. So let's say it's 4 sessions, you're going to take about 20 to 25, maybe 30 pounds away
You're
from where you
walking back,
currently
yeah.
were. Yeah.
And you keep volume targets the same.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Because the it's a good point. So it's like the Chase hinted about this earlier, where it's like your muscle mass is still there in these tiny layoffs, and the short or the moderate one, but your neurological ability to recruit all of your muscle mass very quickly, produce a lot of force in a very efficient and precise manner, that has gone to the shitter.
Yep.
Um, so that's what needs that takes the hit. It's not really the capacity for volume. So like when you may need a volume taper if it's been a significant period of time where it'll be like, all right, if I used to do 6 sets of squats, I'm starting at 3, next workout 4 sets, next workout 5 sets, then you're at 6 sets, you're rolling again. But the weight will definitely have to come back. The 5 or 10 pounds per workout that you missed, that's a really good one, really good rule. We'll add that to the slideshow. But I think that's it. Anything else you want to cover, Chase?
No, man.
Anything else going on in your Instagram?
Uh, no, not really.
Damn it, Chase. It's been
What?
like 2 weeks.
I I pulled 730. I don't want to brag, but I did pull
Oh,
that.
come on.
I was excited about that.
It's on your Instagram?
Yep.
Oh, dude, sick. All right. You guys can't see this. This is just for me.
What sucked was like, man, so for like the past two seminars that have been down, I'll go down Friday and train because it's like the train in Wichita Falls.
Hmm.
I've attempted a 725 on my deadlift at least twice. And those attempts, I've got it to about my knees and it just fucking will not go. So this
I
last one
remember
was like,
that video last time. Yeah.
yeah, it was so close. This time I was like, fuck it. Let's just add 5 more pounds, see if this goes. And
Can you guys see this,
it
by the
did.
way?
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, perfect.
But
Who all was there hyping you up?
Josh, JD, and then a few other people.
Sick. Was Rip there?
No, he doesn't care.
Oh, he doesn't care. He's like, who cares?
I was cheating
7:30?
because I had straps, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. That's why. Are those Olympic lifting straps or those open ended?
So who's like the Russian Ukrainian lifter? It's like Torsky or some shit like that.
That
You
sounds
know what I'm
right.
talking about? Whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's the warm body, cold mind guy. I got his
Okay.
straps off of Amazon, and like they're sewn together to where you're supposed to wrap them not through
It's a
each other.
loop.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. So
Yeah.
I cut them all to where it's just the length and the materials really well.
Mhm.
But then I just taped the two ends together to where I can actually tuck them in instead of just wrapping the bar around or the strap around the bar. And I mean, I like these straps. They have held up a lot.
That's great, dude. That's a beautiful pull. You were happy about this? You're real
I
psyched.
was.
Oh
I
yeah.
was.
How long do you think until you try a little 735?
Hopefully more, man, because this didn't really move that slow. But I really want to hit 800 pretty damn quickly. But we'll see.
Well, if you do this 3 times a week and you add 5 pounds a week,
Oh,
five
okay. I
pounds a
didn't think
session,
about that. Okay.
yeah, just restart your LP here, Chase. Yeah, that's the ticket. Oh man, that's
I
very
wish it
pretty
was that
pull.
simple, man.
I'm super happy for you, dude. What song were you listening to? Do you have a
Dude,
specific
I don't
deadlift
know.
PR song?
I have a lot of songs that I listen to. It's
It's
kind of
just
just a
a
playlist. Yeah.
Just on the playlist. I like it.
Hmm.
I like it a lot. Have you heard some of the horror stories about what happens when people use like the long looping straps on cleans?
Oh no, I don't clean with straps. Yeah, I've been
You've heard
told
about
that.
that?
Well, like they'll snap their fucking radiuses and stuff. Yeah. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. So just for people, there's probably some videos of it somewhere if anyone's
Oh
interested.
yeah.
If you use a standard like gym strap that you would use on a machine or on a dumbbell or something like that on a clean, and then you fall backwards with it, it gets trapped. Is
Yep.
essentially what happens. You do not have the time to unravel it 3 loops around, basically. So what'll happen is that your elbow will hit the floor, your forearm will still be a forearm, the bar will hit your palm, and then your forearm will stop being a forearm. It will turn into some sort of T or cross or some sort
You'll
of
have another
mangled
joint.
mishmash.
You'll
Yeah,
have a
you've created another elbow for yourself.
yeah.
But yeah, so those Olympic lifting straps, they're like a closed loop, and it's a very short overlap.
Hmm.
So you can bail out of it in a fraction of a second. You need like half a rotation of the bar, and that's it. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I use those.
they're really good on the snatch and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But even with these, man, I'm not gonna do that with a clean because I already catch my cleans shittily.
Damn. On
Yeah,
the bicep.
exactly. And I
Damn.
really don't want to fucking rupture anything or
Oh,
crack anything.
man, that's awesome. So what do you think is your PR schedule on this? Do you think you're going to try to hit a top deadlift every 3 weeks, 5 weeks,
If I actually were to plan it, I bet I could probably do a month. I probably
about a
need to
month?
do like a month.
Okay,
Um,
that's beautiful, dude.
yeah, I don't know what the jumps would be though. Maybe like 15, 10 pound jumps. But if I could do that, it'd be awesome. Like I didn't feel too beat up after this because of just how much my pull frequency is.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's it, everybody. I think for today's Strength Club. If you want videos, there's a link in the description and send those in to support at strength.club. We love reviewing people's form. And then what do you want to talk about next week, Chase?
I don't know.
Hmm.
We'll have to think of something.
Oh, I've been using a new macro tracking app called Macro Factor. Greg Knuckles, Stronger by Science. Um,
Never heard of it.
okay. But I've been using it. I really like it. I think we may talk about dieting apps. Dieting is always fun.
Yeah.
I don't think you've ever dieted before, Chase.
No, fuck no.
Exactly, yeah. That's gonna be a Mick and me thing, where we're trying to be like, "How can I be smaller, possibly?"
No, I mean, Phoebe's done a lot, and I wish she would kind of talk about it. Her insight about diet's really helpful.
Oh, that'd be great. We gotta talk to Phoebe about, exam prep, board prep too.
I feel like
That'd be
that's
a
what we
fun
need to
one.
do too. Is just like have everyone ask questions and see what
I
they do.
honestly have such a boner for the board exams. I wish they were even harder. I love them.
Yeah.
But, alright, I think that's it, everybody, for tonight. Thanks for watching. See ya.